Oh, yeah. I am live. Yes! 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 It's Friday night. Oh, man. I cannot tell you how happy I am to be here. For the very first time ever, not only am I live right here on YouTube, I am live on Facebook. I am live on Twitter. Oh, man, all three locations. I am having a threesome here with my social media. You can follow me now, whether it is on Twitter or on Facebook or on the YouTube. So I'm very, very excited about this. I've been waiting all week to just sit here and talk football. Next week, I have a special, well, you know what? It's not confirmed, but Alex, if you're listening, hit me back up on Instagram. He wanted to come on the show, talk about the AFC East. I think the AFC East there's a lot of really interesting things going on here. So, man, I got some great comments. One Pride, let's get it. Shoot, can we get a moment of silence for the Indy fan? Funk, yeah, absolutely. One moment of silence. I actually don't know what's going on, but one moment of silence per Funk's request. All right. I actually don't know what's going on. Normally, I can do a little more show prep. I get off of work at 7. That's why I have the show at 7:15. So I didn't have a chance to do all the show prep. A few things I did want to talk about. Definitely want to get some conversation started about Deshaun Watson and Aaron Rodgers. If you've been following me for a while, I've been telling you guys, Aaron Rodgers is going to be the Green Bay Packers quarterback. He's going to be there. And Deshaun Watson's in training camp. He's not taking part of drills. If I could, talk to Deshaun Watson, if I can talk to Deshaun Watson, I'd tell him and say, listen, I understand that you want to get out of here. I understand you're not happy. Here's what you need to do. Just play as well as you can this year. Take the Texans to the playoffs. If you can do that, you can name your price and everybody wins. And y'all thinking about it, last year at this time, would we have thought that Matthew Stafford would be in LA? No. So where would he end up? I was toying around with this because I'm just having fun. When if you went to Minnesota? All right. You get Cousins, Danielle Hunter, and a draft pick. And part of the reason, and Funk went ahead, me and Funk are on the same wavelength here. Wentz needs to see a foot specialist because he's already got hurt in training camp, not even regular season, hurt in training camp. This is another reason why I would urge Deshaun Watson to go ahead and stay in Houston for this year, play all out, because the NFC East was the weak division in football last year. I think this year it's going to be the AFC South. There's holes in all four teams. And Indy, which looked to be among the best, is, they're actually, Wentz is already hurt. Wentz is already hurt. Their starting left tackle, they want to be Eric Fisher, who, if you're a Chiefs fan, you definitely know, ruptured his Achilles tendon in the AFC Conference Championship game. That's hard injury to get over in about 6 months. Very hard injury. So, here's what you got. You got your left tackle and your quarterback already banged up. And the season hasn't even started. We're in training camp. It's still July. But, yeah, Funk. This is why if I'm Deshaun Watson, I'm just – somebody needs to tell Watson, look, just play this year. Play as best and as hard as you can, because the Houston Texans could win this division. Alex, speaking of the Houston Texans, welcome, brother. He says, hey, Dan, I'm back for a while. Watson is back and seems to be putting as little effort in camp, though he's talking. Yes, and what it is that he is in training camp. He's just not participating in any drills. So, this is a pro and a con. It's a con because they would really want him to get involved. And if I'm Deshaun Watson, I would go ahead and I would stay involved with the Houston Texans. I would just plan on playing this year because he doesn't really have leverage to hold out. So, yes, if I am Deshaun Watson, I would play this year, play as well as I can, and then just say, hey, look, I went ahead, took you guys. Deshaun Watson right now, let's say he plays. They could win this division. I'm telling you right now, the AFC South is not going to be a good division. It was funny. My boy Mike, I haven't seen his comment yet, but hopefully he comes in. He was commenting about the NFC East. I think the NFC East is going to be much improved. I don't know if anybody watched my Giants video. A lot of good gambling advice. Somebody just joined, subscribed, and he put in a comment, "Hey, I'm a bad gambler, so I'm glad I found you." And this is the next couple videos are going to be kind of heavy towards the gambling side. And you don't have to be a sports gambler and to enjoy this channel. This is a community where we just go ahead and we talk football. But if you are into sports betting, you really want to follow this channel because there is some really, really, really good betting advice I'm giving out. And the Giants video is a good one. One Pride 40 asks how is Wentz already hurt? Yes, he is hurt in training camp. It's not the Indianapolis Colts. A lot of people are really high on them. They're falling apart. It's going to be difficult. But bottom line, if he's having problems in training camp, I don't see how he's going to last 17. As you've probably seen the MLB, I don't know anything about baseball, but I do follow you on Twitter, as you well know. So I know that you've posted some comments here. So I get it. Because he's leaving soon. He's watching his Astros play tonight, and he's participating in Deadline Talk. And I get it. Alex is a big baseball fan. But during football season, he's a regular, and he does a lot of great stuff on here. So I love when he brings to the table. And football season's right around the corner, folks. Watson should go to the Fins. I think that they're really happy. Great. You know what? I go live on 3 platforms, and I'm already drawing my first blank. I can't believe it. I'm bad with names. The kid from Bama, the lefty, grew up in Honolulu. Had a hip injury last year, and the name escapes me, but I think they're really happy with the kid. And I am very embarrassed. I cannot remember his name for the life of me. Here I am. I have a show on YouTube and on Facebook and on Twitter, and for the life of me, I cannot think of the kid's name. Tua. All right. My apologies. I messed up. I think the Dolphins are happy with him. I think it's going to be a team that nobody expects. I really do. I think Watson's going to go to a team that people aren't expecting. And why not Minnesota? Minnesota has a couple extra draft picks next year. They actually have 2 first-round picks. They have the Jets in theirs. The way I understand Cousins' contract, I think he can get out after next year. So, they could trade him. But anyway, Funk responds, how is Wentz already hurt? Funk says, not sure, but those workouts in shorts can be rough, I guessed. Hear about MCDC? No, I didn't, but I sent Luke G a message, Westgate, because, okay, if you ever hear ESPN talk about Vegas, they have an association with Westgate Casino. I've been to Westgate several times. I've placed several bets there. Fantastic place. Westgate now has the Detroit Lions at 4.5 wins, not 5. So if you're a Lions fan, if you think they're going to win at least 5 games, now's the time to bet. Terrible number. Over 4.5 is negative 150, which means you have to wager $150 to win 100. I never recommend betting that number, but it is a terrible, terrible number. Terrible number. But if you're convinced the Lions are going to win 5 games, a minimum of 5 games, now's the time to bet. Watson for Tua and Howard. I think Howard may be long gone pretty fast, to be honest, Funk. And the reason why is, remember last year they drafted Noah Igdobugaruba. I can't pronounce his name, and I'm willing to bet most of you can't either. However, he was a first-round pick. The Dolphins had 3 first-round picks. He was the last one. I think he was picked 30. He was the one that Miami traded with so that Green Bay could get up to 26 to draft Jordan Love. So I think that they're going to get rid of Howard soon. I think that they really like Tua. I think Tua is their future. I think he's the guy that they want. To be honest with you, the trade makes a ton of sense. It makes a ton of sense, but I think the Dolphins are going to get rid of Howard. I think they're happy with Tua. And I think Watson's going to go somewhere unexpected. I really think Watson, however, if Deshaun, if you're watching this, stay in Houston for this year. Stay in Houston. Win the AFC South. You will be a hero. You will come out of this season smelling like a rose. You get traded, you'll leave in disgrace. It'll just tarnish your legacy. Stay in Houston this year, please. I don't think he will. I don't think he wants to, but he should. All right. My boy Tim's in the house. So we all know Mahomes is better than Allen, but settle the debate. I have my buddy. I say Allen has a better arm. What do you think? Tim. Okay. All right. Okay. Tim didn't say it, but I think I know what he means. Okay. Mahomes has a better arm. Okay. The arm talent Mahomes has versus the arm talent Josh Allen has is not even in the same category. Josh Allen has a stronger arm. Which quarterback can throw the ball the furthest? It's actually Josh Allen. Who has more arm talent? Josh Allen, even though he does have a good deep ball, he's not nearly as accurate as Mahomes. Mahomes from 30 to 40 yards or 30 plus yards out, insane accuracy, insane arm talent. Allen doesn't have that. Allen's got the fastball. He's got the bigger arm, the stronger arm, not the better arm. Mahomes has more arm talent. And there's a big difference between arm talent and arm strength. Okay, let me go back in time. Dante Culpepper. Remember Dante Culpepper? Massive arm. Could throw a football a country mile, right? Wasn't really all that accurate. Same thing with Michael Vick. Michael Vick had a huge arm, used his legs, and then it wasn't until he got to Philly they went over a 60% completion percentage. Arm strength and arm talent are different. So Josh Allen has the strongest arm in the league. Okay, Josh Allen probably could throw the ball 85, 90 yards, and Mahomes probably 85, 88 yards. I mean, you're talking just a hair. However, Mahomes' arm talent is on a different level than Josh Allen. Josh Allen has the strongest arm in the league. So Watson has no trading clause, even though it's nothing to do with what the Texans have. You're right, and that's the reason why I would play ball for the Texans this year, because Houston has all the chips, all right? If you're Deshaun Watson, Deshaun, listen to me. Please stick in Houston this year. Play for somebody else in 2022. All right? You do this, you will come out smelling like a rose, where if you leave now, it'll be all sorts of people will say, well, you're leaving because you got accused. You're already in a bad spot. Yeah. Stay in Houston, please. He sounds fair. I think he's referring to this here. Watson isn't going to be traded this year. I don't think he should be. If I'm telling you this, okay, I'm Deshaun Watson's buddy right now. Let's just say I'm Deshaun Watson's friend. Stay in Houston, Deshaun, please. And if I'm the Houston Texans, I play hardball with them. It's like, hey, look, you want to participate in training camp? Fine. You don't want to play any snaps? Fine. We don't have to pay you. He's going to play. And Dak is already hurt. I think the injury is a little less minor than with Carson Wentz. Somebody who I follow with great interest on Twitter said that there's a casino that has a prop bet of Dak Prescott's passing yards over under 4,900. So yeah, I don't know why people are betting that Dak Prescott's going to throw for 4,900 yards. So yeah, did someone blow 7 minutes and you got silly? I know I'm 7 minutes, and this is the first time I'm doing a threesome with social media, because now you can follow me on both Facebook and Twitter, and and I couldn't even think it to us. 7 minutes in. By the way, I am over 59% sure I am not on cocaine. did drink an energy drink right before I jumped on the show. I am super jacked up today. I cannot tell you how happy I am to be sitting here talking football with you guys. It is my favorite thing in the whole world to do. But yes, 7 minutes in, and I couldn't even think of Tua's name. That's not good. Okay, Washington would be a fantastic fit, but you have to give him an arm. You know, actually, to tell you the truth, okay, let me throw this out. The Houston Texans want to run a Tampa 2 defense, okay? They want to run a Tampa 2 defense. Chase Young, Fitzpatrick, a first-round pick for Deshaun Watson. But let's say you don't want to give up Chase Young, because I think Chase Young's going to be a superstar. I mean, I think that we could be talking about Chase Young the same way we talk about like Aaron Donald in a couple of years. I think he's that good. I think he could be. Let's say you take Montez Sweat. Why not? The thing is, though, is that Ron Rivera has, has a player personnel control, something along those lines. He has to be on board with this. And the only way he does this is that he would have to give up some defensive players, and I know he doesn't want to do it. But yeah, no, keep that evil away from me. Minnesota to me just makes a lot of sense because you can get a quarterback, you get Daniel Hunter, who would be a perfect fit for Lovie Smith's defense. And that's another thing I keep saying is that Lovie Smith to Houston was one of the smartest, most underrated moves in the offseason. Colts going to regress if Wentz doesn't play. Even then, they need Wentz to go back to 17-18 form to even compete. If not, they'll just have a worse Rivers. You're 100% right. Keep in mind their left tackle retired. They lost Justin Houston. Justin Houston meant a lot to that defense. They're going to replace him with Kwity Paye. They signed Eric Fisher from Kansas City, who they want to start opening day, but he ruptured his Achilles in late January. That's a hard injury to get over. It's a really hard injury to get over that fast. Kwity Paye has to replace Justin Houston. Very underrated, very good player, especially against the run. So they need a rookie to replace a Pro Bowl caliber defensive end. In that defense, that's a big deal. And then you got a left tackle who's recovering from a serious injury for a quarterback who's already having injury problems. And one thing about Rivers is very, very underrated. I mean, here's a guy, he comes in. It's actually funny. They played against the Houston Texans, and he comes up to the line of scrimmage, and he moved the linebacker because he was lined up in the wrong spot. He was blitzing. Rivers saw it. He pointed it out, and it's what J.J. Watt was telling the story. But yeah, Wentz physically much more gifted than Rivers. He doesn't have the knowledge that Rivers has. And that's something that's really, really going to be tough to replicate. I actually think the Colts might take a step backwards this year, even though the talent overall on the team is better. They're a tough team to gauge. They're a really tough team to gauge. Wow, 7-8 wins. Oh, okay, you're talking for the Detroit Lions. Yeah. Listen, the over-under shifted from 5 to 4.5, so action's on the Detroit under. If you're a Lions fan, if you really believe this, you really think it's anything over 5, put your money down, man. Put your money down now. Go ahead, make some money this year. I'm telling you right now, this is the channel you want to follow. My last video, I gave some really good betting advice. I'm going to give some really good gambling advice. You don't have to be a gambler to enjoy this channel, but if you are in sports betting, this channel is going to help you this year. This channel is going to help you. The Colts have a good team, but they don't have QBs. They have a problem at the left tackle position. They have a problem at defensive end. I think the Colts have some question marks, man. I mean, they're a tough team to gauge, man. No, you absolutely right. Luck retiring really hurt. And did I miss that comment? Yeah. Oh, okay. Here it is. It's this way. Colts screwed himself with Luck. Yeah, Luck. I actually predicted Luck would come back. I thought Luck would sit out after a couple of years and say, you know what, I'm better than 20, 25 of these guys, and we're making $50 million a year. I'll come back. It wouldn't surprise me if Luck comes back to the NFL and just says, hey, I'm going to be I want to be a backup quarterback and make $2-3 million a year just for holding the clipboard. I'm secretly still holding hope on that, but I haven't heard anything from Luck. He hasn't even been on TV as far as I know. It's not. I feel bad because I think Luck genuinely wanted to play. It's just that dude, he got the crap beat out of him. He's a tough dude, but I mean, he just didn't want to do it. Imagine Colts was. Well, here's the deal. If Wentz can get back to that MVP form, I mean, it's a dangerous team. And the same thing with Stafford. It's just that I think I'm not sure either quarterback's going to stay healthy throughout the rest of the season. So yeah, no, you're right. They didn't invest in the line while he was there. You're right. They got the left tackle. They were lucky to get him. They drafted Quentin Nelson, maybe the best guard in football. Yeah, I see the new graphic. Yeah. I did some upgrades, man. I did some upgrades. So yes. My boy Chris, I've known Chris. God, how long have we actually went to junior high school together, but we didn't really hang out till right after high school. But I've known Chris for God was over 30, almost 30 years. Chris lives right here in the Kansas City area. He puts in, hey bro, I hear the Chiefs are going undefeated and taking it all. Lots of people in Kansas City think that Chiefs have a legit. Matter of fact, you could put action at the William Hill Sportsbook in Iowa for the Chiefs to go undefeated. And you could also do the same thing for Tampa Bay. I would not be surprised if the Chiefs get back to the Super Bowl. But I'll tell you right now, though, that my number one team's Tampa Bay. I'm right now, if I had to do a power ranking 1 through 32, I would actually put Tampa Bay above Kansas City. But the Kansas City Chiefs, I definitely think will win the AFC West. They're currently my favorites to win the AFC, but I really think that I really think that Tampa Bay's the team to really watch out for this year. If anybody's going to go undefeated, I think it'd be Tampa Bay. Dan's energy drinks is Coke Mix. They're not getting rid of Young. No, okay. This is in response to Chase Young. No, I think Chase Young could be the best defensive player in the decade of the 20s. I think if you had to say, give me the best defensive player in the decade of the 20s, I'm telling you, Chase Young. I think he's going to be a superstar. I absolutely love this guy. But if you wanted to get Deshaun Watson, that's kind of what you're having to give up and a pick. Chase Young and a pick. James is in the house. What's up, brother? One Pride 40 says, hot take, I thought Pay was a reach. Well, that's debatable, but the one thing is that they lost their left tackle. They lost Justin Houston. I thought they should address the tackle position, not Justin Houston, but they liked Pay enough. Pay played a bunch of different positions at Michigan. I actually like Pay quite a bit. It's just that if I was the Colts, I would have addressed the offensive line situation. That was my opinion. I'm going to keep that David Coley is a standover guy while much of the coaching staff is going to stay. Standover guy, I kind of don't understand what you mean. You mean that he's going to move on and then the coaching staff's going to stay there? Or do you think that – I'm going to tell you something right now. I think the whole coaching staff is going to come back. I really do. I think they're going to say, hey, look, we're going to bring everybody back, give you a year or two. I really think that. Maybe this is why I hear Bob Quinn getting a job. No, actually, I did not. I did not hear about, oh my God, Bob Quinn on a billboard as a spokesperson for 10 wins is reaching. You're talking about 10 wins for the Colts, I'm thinking. But all right. I'm not sure which team here, and I admit I'm a little all over the place, but I think I'm caught up now. Basically, and we talked a lot about Deshaun Watson. Let's flip it up to the NFC North. We got Aaron Rodgers reporting to training camp. Reggie Cobb is also traded from Houston. So Oh, that's another thing. We were talking about Deshaun Watson. We completely overlooked Anthony Miller. I don't know the specifics on the trade. I know it's some late round picks, but Anthony Miller's a guy I absolutely loved coming out of Memphis. I just assumed he was going to be the number one receiver in Chicago. Never really panned out, but putting him, I loved Reggie. I loved Reggie Cobb. All right, watch him play at Kentucky. Loved this game. Today, right now, Anthony Miller's an upgrade over Reggie Cobb. Anthony Miller's an upgrade over Reggie Cobb. You still got Brandon Cooks. That the kid, that Nico Johnson, he's got all the physical tools to just be really, really good. There are some good things about the Houston Texans, but Reggie Cobb going to Green Bay is a plus. Aaron Rodgers is going to be there. Devontae Adams is, I don't know the whole situation, but I firmly believe he will play. And then you still got Amari Rodgers. So there's some good things in Green Bay. He's talking about the Colts. He has a job. Okay, so Bob Quinn is with the Browns, and 10 wins for the Lions. Okay. The over-under is dropped from 5 to 4.5. And I sent Luke G a message. So I'm telling people right now, if you're a Lions fan, and I'm just letting people know because I got lots of Lions love here, and I sent Luke G a message today. 4.5 is a very small number, and especially in a 17-game season. If you believe the Lions can be, because I'm hearing 6, 7, 8. Somebody said 10's a little reaching, but I mean, this is the time to bet. This is the time for bet. I mean, yeah, I'm telling you right now, put some action on. Put some action down on the Lions. Anything over 5 pays you. The number's not good. The number is not good. But, yeah. Bob Quinn is in Cleveland and John Dorsey is in Detroit. Feel like the Lions win Bond this way. No, it's definitely a big win. I'm telling you right now, it's a loss for Cleveland, and it's definitely a win for Detroit. Getting Dorsey in Detroit is one of the smartest things the Detroit Lions did. I actually thought he would be the general manager, and I thought he'd bring in Eric Bieniemy. If you remember, all of last year, I kept on saying it's going to be Dorsey and Bieniemy in Detroit. Instead, you bring in Dorsey as the assistant GM, but everything that he's doing is very, very, very familiar. Very, very familiar to what he did in Kansas City. So I actually think it's just a matter of time before Dorsey makes a trade and brings some players into Detroit. I really believe this. So, the number's now at 4.5. Put some money. I want to see some of you Lions fans make some money, man. I want to see some of you Lions fans make some money. So, yeah. And I would not put the Lions even close to 10. But when I did the over-under, when I did my breakdown of the Detroit Lions, I said the over-under was 5, and I recommended the over. Not for the talent level they currently have, because Dorsey's going to add to it between now and the start of regular season. But 4.5, I cannot emphasize what a low number that is. The only number that's lower is Houston Texans with 4. And I don't know what to think, because you got Watson in camp, but he's not participating. If Watson plays at all this year, of course they're going to win 4 games. Of course, this is a bad division. I'm hoping Watson starts day one. I want to see Watson against Trevor Lawrence. I think it'd be a great game. And Cleveland's team will be destroyed in 3 years thanks to Bobby. I've been telling people this, and I haven't broke down the Cleveland Browns yet. I'm a very small minority that thinks Cleveland's going to regress this year. I definitely think they're going to regress this year. And that's another thing, is that when they play Kansas City in Arrowhead with up to 9 new defensive starters, there's multiple bets you want to bet on Kansas City winning, not only winning that game, but having that be a very high-scoring game. 9 new starters against Andy Reid week 1 is a big, big advantage for Kansas City. Big advantage. It wouldn't surprise me if the Chiefs win that game by 3 or 4 touchdowns. Wouldn't surprise me at all. By the way, if you don't believe me, last year the Chiefs opened at Arrowhead against a playoff team that won a playoff game the year before. That was Houston Texans, won 34-20. I had money on 54.5, so I lost that. But I think I will collect this year on that game. I was so happy when Dorsey came in the building. I think he's going to be here long term. Yes. Actually, to tell you the truth, I think it could be one of two things. One, he could stay in Detroit long term. I have no idea what his contract is, but more than likely you get paid more as a general manager than you do an assistant general manager. Maybe they just opened up the checkbook and said, right, what do you want? What does it take to get you here as an assistant? My guess would be that this will be a springboard for Dorsey to take over as general manager for another team. So I actually don't think he's going to be in Detroit long term. I think he'll be there for a couple of years, and I think he'll take over. Another team in another couple of years. I mean, there's a few general managers that are on hot seat right now. I mean, look at, you got Chicago. I mean, Dorsey in Chicago may work out pretty well. The Jets, was it Joe Douglas? I believe his name is. He's definitely on the hot seat. I mean, let me ask you something. Let's say you're a Houston Texans fan. What about Dorsey going to the Houston Texans? So there's a few different places he could go. I mean, there's some possibilities he could go somewhere else. So Dorsey hated to be a GM. I'm not so sure he did. I know in Kansas City he actually enjoyed it for a while. Him and Andy Reid supposedly butted heads, and the Chiefs' power structure was that Andy Reid and Dorsey both reported directly to the owner. They were put on the same level, and the rumor mill was that Andy Reid said, "It's either me or Dorsey," and that's what happened. I don't know if that's a fact, but I do know this: when Andy Reid had a contract extension. I want to say 2018, 2019, John Dorsey was fired 30 minutes later. That's all. It came on the news. Andy Reid extended, and then you enjoyed it for about 20 minutes, and you saw John Dorsey gone. So I'm not saying that's what happened, but that's kind of looks like what happened. He also, I think, really didn't have a good situation in Cleveland because he was forced to keep my second brain freeze of the day, and I'm half an hour in. Hugh Jackson. Okay. Hugh Jackson. He was forced when he took over that he had to keep Hugh Jackson. If you watch Hard Knocks, they had Hugh Jackson, they had Todd Haley, they had Greg Williams, and you could tell I've watched last year's first Hard Knocks I didn't watch because they're doing both the LA teams, and it was just all about the COVID procedures. I didn't want to watch it. I was sick of it. Anyway, sorry about the rant. So I didn't want to watch it. Last year was like the first time I didn't watch Hard Knocks. And this year I'm actually really excited because I'm hoping nobody gets injured on the Dallas Cowboys because there's a lot of action I strongly recommend on NFC East. And I recommend, if you haven't already, watch my New York Giants video. If you're into sports betting, I give a lot of different bets on the New York Giants. They're my favorite to win the NFC East this year. So, I mean, again, you don't have to be a fan of sports gambling to enjoy my channel, but if you are a fan of sports betting, you definitely 100% want to go ahead and follow my YouTube channel. And you can always message me. All my social media links are, by the way, all my social media links are linked below because now you can follow me as I am broadcasting live on both Facebook and Twitter as well as the YouTube. So I'm very, very excited about that. All right, I went on a rant here. I was going to talk about Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers re-signed, I believe it's a 2-year extension, which is supposed to go to 2023, but basically he can get out in 2022. So it looks like for the next 2 years, Aaron Rodgers will be in Green Bay. I actually predicted he would be out in 2022, but he may just stay around for 2 years. It's kind of kind of an unusual situation. But I have to admit, I like it. I want to see Rodgers in Green Bay this year. I think it's kind of cool that reunited with Reggie Cobb, Amari Rodgers, and it's just a matter of time before Devontae Adams is 100% on board. So it's going to be a really good thing for the Green Bay Packers. And I haven't had a chance to look at the gambling numbers because I was looking at some other numbers. I looked at Detroit, for example. And then my last video that I released today, the New York Giants, a lot of things I like about the New York Giants. So as long as Dorsey teach Holmes to be less trigger happy, I'm cool. Yeah, a lot of the stuff that Dorsey loves to hear in Detroit. A lot of the stuff that I'm seeing in that I'm seeing out of Detroit is you can see a lot of the same things he did in Kansas City and a lot of things he was able to do in Cleveland. But again, if you watch it Hard Knocks, you could tell that Hugh Jackson and Dorsey, you could tell they really didn't care for each other. Hugh Jackson just was not the guy who should have been an NFL head coach. It was I'll never forget when the Dallas Cowboys had Dave Campo on there. I want to say it was 98 or 97, something like that. And he got fired after that season. They brought in Bill Parcells. You could tell that he just was overwhelmed. He wasn't cut out to be an NFL head coach. And look, I mean, it's a tough job. I get it. I understand. It's not cut out for everybody, but it was very obvious that like Dorsey really just wanted to clean house and he wasn't allowed to. So, but I'm glad he loves it in Detroit, man. I was really happy with what the job he did here. I was really, really happy with the job he did here. Like I mentioned before, next week I'm going to try to bring Alex on. I've asked. I hopefully he'll respond over the weekend. I can get that confirmed. I'll set it up early, and that way we can go ahead and get him on board and break down the AFC East. I'm excited because I have lots of I got lots of love from Detroit, but he's my only Patriots fan. And after the interview I had with Red Sea, which went really, really, really well. I'd be very excited to have him on and discuss the AFC East, which I think is going to be a very, very exciting division this year, possibly 3 playoff teams. So that's kind of what I'm looking at. All right. I got a killer fly around here. So that's what I have. Very, very exciting plans. Very excited to be broadcasting on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter for the first time ever. So, all right. One Pride 40 top 5 teams that will regress. All right. Number 1 is Cleveland. And the reason why is anytime you have a significant jump in wins, you usually come back down the next year. That would be number 1. Number 2, Green Bay, even though Rodgers is back and even though they got Reggie Cobb, I have a hard time believing that back-to-back 13-win seasons. I just something about Green Bay, even just I have a hard time really seeing that. Yeah, and then we got some comments here. Tampa Bay, the Eagles. I don't know. The Eagles won 4 games last year, so I don't know if they can. Did I say something different? It's not. I thought it was. I said Reggie Cobb. You're right. It's Randall Cobb. I said I did. I'm bad with names. This is why I call every girl baby. This is why every girl's baby. So those 2 teams, the Chargers, I think will regress. And the reason why I say maybe regress isn't the right word. I think they're a team that will under-deliver because a lot of people think the Chargers are a playoff caliber team. I do not. I thought they made a big mistake getting rid of Anthony Lynn. Big thing for the Lions to go ahead and get him. But, yeah. See here. What other team do I think will regress? I could say under deliver would be the Chargers. And, spoiler alert, of course, I also have the 49ers. I've been adamant that I don't think they're going to be a 10-11 win team, despite what Vegas says. Of all the playoff teams last year, Cleveland's the number one team that I think will really surprise people by taking a step back. Trying to think of what other playoff team. I think the Saints could be very, very surprising. Right now, the over-unders, I think, either 9 or 9.5. Now, I will say this about the Saints. I don't expect them to win 13 games like they've done, but I think that they could win 10 or 11 pretty easily. Man, that's a tough one. Yeah, the Philadelphia head coach presser was awesome. Slasher, welcome, brother. I think the Eagles will surprise a lot of people this year. They're making the same moves they made in that 2017 season. I understand that. It's just that, number one, I thought that, don't get me wrong, Devontae Smith may have had the all-time greatest college football season statistically ever. I don't know that game really works, or I don't know if his game really works in the NFL. I mean, he's 6'1", 166. I mean, at Alabama, he saw almost no press coverage, but there's no press coverage. That's all he's going to get. And then you got kid out TCU, another brain freeze here. You got basically a rookie on the other side. So your top two wide receivers. You have two really good tight ends. You have Miles Sanders. You also have an aging defense that really would have to step up this year. I like Hurts. I'd be honest. I don't know what you mean by surprise, though. I mean, are you saying surprise as they're an 8 win? 8 wins would be surprising, to be perfectly honest. I think that. If I remember right, over under was 6. If I remember correctly, I think I got it right in front of me. If I don't, I won't. Okay, yeah, I got it. 6.5. So the Eagles 6.5. Like, so what would be surprising? 8, 9. Do they make the playoffs? Are they good enough to make the playoffs? That's something that's kind of questionable. The Rams, and the Rams are a team that, as long as they stay healthy, I think they're going to be very good, but they're so thin. And I don't know if Stafford can stay healthy. Aaron Donald goes down. I don't even think they're a 500 team without Donald. Same thing if Ramsey goes down. How important is Leonard Floyd? They also lost John Johnson, which I think is a massive loss. So yeah. And of course, for those of you who don't know, the Rams gave Detroit multiple first-round picks. So hopefully this happens. One pride. He says Slasher's capping. I don't know, man. I don't think so, Slasher. I don't have Eagles as that good of a team this year. I think of all the teams in the NFC East, I think you got 3 teams that are definitely going to be better, and then you got the Eagles, which is really the big question mark. I think the division as a whole will be a lot better. The Giants right now are my favorite pick to win the division, but I want to make sure that they, approach the season healthy, because the same things are wrong with Carson Wentz. If you hear that about Saquon Barkley, then all bets are off. Sirianni looks like a train wreck. And I have to admit, I didn't see the presser, but I was really surprised that was the hire of all the guys you could have hired. I have no idea why you picked Sirianni, because Frank Reich in Indy famously even called his own plays. So I mean, I'm not really sure what it was that Philly saw in him, but and One Pride 40 saying it was bad. I didn't get a chance to watch it, but of all the head coaching hirings, this one was confusing. I understood why Coley in Houston, because that's kind of a unusual situation. But the one thing I will say is that I definitely like the Lovie Smith being on board in Houston. I'm not even sure the assistants are off the top of my head for Philly, but I couldn't see that. I have a hard time thinking Philly, things are going to work out for him in Philly. I mean, you have to have a lot of things go right for them to get right. Devontae Smith has to play just like he did in college. I'm drawing a complete blank on the other rookie wide receiver. This is not good YouTube here to bring up the look it up, but I'm just embarrassed. Can't remember his name. Jalen Reagor. He has to play. Remember, Jalen Reagor was chosen before Justin Jefferson, so he's got to produce. So you got two basically rookie wide receivers with Hurts. Like, that's a lot, man. That is a lot. That's a lot to ask. And then the defense has to bounce back, and their best two players are past their prime. Fletcher Cox is 31, going on year 10, and Brandon Graham's 33. And those are your two best players. You know, or if you want to say Darius Slay is better than Brandon Graham, sure, you can say that. But, I mean, and Darius Slay turns 30 this year. His best days are pretty much done. So, yeah. I think he really worked to put on weight to get to that 166 at the second pro day. Dude refused to weigh in before for some. Yeah, if you watched the national championship game, he had that thumb injury, and, you know, they were going to win that game by, 40 points. So he just sat out. And I mean, he did dominate in the first half. I think he had something like 8 for 140 and a touchdown or two just in the first half alone. And he's like, if you watch him in street clothes, I mean, he looked like a little kid. I think all was like one of the worst things he could have done is show back up in those street clothes, because he looked like he was 13 years old. It was like, and that's really when I started looking at him on, in shoulder pads, because he's 6'1", he's kind of a tall dude. I'm thinking, what are you, 175, 180 maybe? And then I watched him in the national championship in street clothes. I'm like, dude, you look like you weigh 130 pounds. And I mean, NFL teams play press man. I mean, what's he going to do against a dude like Ramsey who can run with him and is 40 pounds heavier and knows coverage techniques? It's a man. I'm with you, Funk. I don't. And the worst thing is Philly didn't have. I don't think Philly really needed to trade up. I say that, but the Giants traded down. Here's how it worked. Philly picked 12th, the Giants picked 11th, and the Cowboys picked 10th. So they traded with the Cowboys to get ahead of New York. Okay. Because they were convinced the Giants were going to take Devontae Smith. I thought it was a bad move at the time. However, the Giants ended up at 11, trading down to 20, and they took Kadarius Toney. I think they would have taken Toney anyway. I really think that they would have taken Toney, because Toney can help on special teams where Smith is just going to be a wide receiver. So Slasher puts in, they have an easy strength of schedule in a very weak division. They can beat the Falcons, 49ers, Raiders, Panthers, Lions, Broncos, Jets. They can split the Cowboys and the Giants. Okay. Number one, this is not a very weak division anymore. All right. The Washington football team is going to be better. They might have the best defensive line in all of football. All right. That defensive line is ridiculous. You got Montez Sweat. Remember at the combine, ran a 4.41 as a defensive end. Jonathan Allen and the other Alabama defensive tackle at defensive line, maybe the best defensive line in football. They overdrafted the linebacker out of Kentucky, but he ran a 4.38 at the combine. So you had speed and athleticism at the linebacker and core. They also added the player from Carolina that Ron Rivera coached. I'm drawing a complete blank on his name. Bad YouTube show. I know. Here I am. I'm a football expert and forgetting names left and right. But the Washington football team, I think vastly improved. I think the New York Giants completely got better. The Dallas Cowboys get their quarterback back. So, I mean, usually a weak division, the next year isn't weak. Every year it kind of shifts. I think this year it's the AFC South. I think the AFC South is the weak division. And some of these teams I'm looking at, 49ers, yeah, you know how I feel about the 49ers. I don't know about the Raiders. I definitely don't think they can beat the Broncos. I don't know if they're playing off the top of my head the Broncos. If it's at Mile High, the answer is no. But, I mean, you never know. Can they split the Cowboys and the Giants? Maybe. Maybe not. This could be a year Philly goes 0-6 in the NFC East. They could. I get where you're coming from, and but I have to admit I don't agree. The one thing I will 100% disagree with is that this division is not weak. It traditionally teams that have or divisions that have one bad year, usually it's not the same thing the next year. And I think both Washington, New York, and Dallas, all three of them, I think got better. So they have had one bad season. They've been in first. No, Slasher, you're 100% correct. But what did they do when they had that one bad season? They got rid of their head coach who won a Super Bowl for them, who outcoached Bill Belichick. They got rid of him. They're changing their offense. They're changing their defense. They're going with a new quarterback, a guy who started a handful of games. And a lot of people, they're replacing a guy who was an MVP candidate. I'm not saying it's not the smart move, but I mean, there's no guarantee that Hurts is the guy, and there's less of a guarantee about the coaching staff, and there's a less guarantee about the system. So I mean, there's a lot of question marks about Philly. There's a ton of question marks. One Pride 40 says you're not beating the Lions, and that's going to be a fun game. It's going to be a fun game. Raiders will forever be the reach around Raiders. Josh Sweat, Ryan Kerrigan, Fletcher Cox, Javon Hargrave, Derek Barnett, Hassan Ridgeway. They are old, but it's a deep position group. Washington football team has no depth. What if Young, Sweat, or Payne gets injured? No, you got some good points. Yes, that defensive line has to stay healthy, but going into the season, I think they're the best group in the National Football League. Fletcher Cox enters the season year 10. He's 31. Kerrigan, I think, is 32 or 33. Derek Barnett, even though I love the guy coming out of Tennessee, hasn't really panned out. Hassan Ridgeway, okay. Josh Sweat, more athlete than actual player right now. Yeah, I get what you're saying. And by the way, you're right. Because if Young, Sweat, or Payne gets injured, that's a major, major issue for the Washington football team. You want to keep all those guys. Yeah, I mean, but that defensive line, though, okay, it's Payne. That was the guy I was forgetting. You got Payne and Allen, both really good, underrated defensive tackles. You got Montez Sweat, who's probably a better pure athlete than Chase Young. Chase Young, who looks like just an absolute superstar. Just an absolute superstar. I mean, there's that defensive front, and I'm drawing a blank on the linebacker out of Kentucky that they got. He could start right away, and I thought they overdrafted him, but I understand why they brought him in. They wanted to add some in the athleticism in the linebacker position, which they did. I want to say Jamin Davis, if I remember right, but yeah. But and then of course I'm in a very small minority. I like the Giants to win the division. I really like the Giants to win the division. They had a top 10 defense last year. I think there's a chance that the defense could get better. The offense will definitely get better. The Eagles, a lot of question marks, man. A lot of question marks. And you're even agreeing. Here's the thing about losing Peterson is that the other three teams in the division all brought in new coaches last year. All right. They all brought in new coaches last year. Well, now they're in year 2 in their system. Right. So I really think that just being in year 2 in the system, especially Dallas, or the whole Mike McCarthy system, It's a lot of back shoulder throws. It's a lot of timing. So definitely that's going to be different. The Washington football team definitely is going to be they're definitely improving. And the Giants, to me, is the team. Like I said, they're my favorite right now to win them all. Funk responds, 49ers, Raiders, and Broncos should all beat the Eagles. And don't sleep on my Lions. But yeah. And like I said, people are betting against the Lions. 4.5 right now. 4.5 wins. You could take the over right now. Then you surprised. I agree with all your points. It would be a joyride this season for the Eagles, but gotta hope for the best. And you know what, Slasher? I did not know you were an Eagles fan, so that's super awesome, man. I'm glad to hear it, man, because I definitely want fans from all 32 fan bases, and I'm glad that we got fans from different fan bases all over joining the show, putting in some contributions, and please keep me informed because you brought up some really good points I didn't think about. So I definitely want to hear all the stuff that all the inside stuff, especially coming up training camp, because ultimately I'm making some money this year betting on the National Football League. Like I said, if you watch my video I released today, I'm multiple bets on the Giants. So yeah. One Pride 40, no offense, but the Lions have been historically bad for a long time. Oh my God. Thanks for the deuce, bro. What does that have to do with this new coaching staff, new front office, new owner, new everything? All right, so here's what he's saying, historical, but you got a new one. And then Slasher responds, you had top tier generational talent and couldn't win it with it to name two is Megatron and Barry. And who is a Mike, welcome, brother. Lions under 4.5. By the way, the under, Mike, is a fantastic number. If I remember right, it's plus 130. Big number. Mike responded with my Giants video. He has 8 and 9. I do disagree with you, but the one thing me and Mike do agree upon is 8 is a bigger number than 7.5. So I don't think Mike's going to put action on the Giants, but I'm really, really high on the Giants. And 4.5 is such a small number, but of course Mike had to chime in. The under 4.5, by the way, Mike, plus 130, if I remember right. That is a fantastic number. That was the number for the 49ers, but yeah, I didn't get that number. Right now, Westgate has over 10.5 as for the Niners as even money, and I want to say under, I think it's negative 130. I have to double check. So yeah, definitely double check. But this Mike, I know I'm excited. I can tell you're excited too. This is a good year for betting on football. We're going to make some money this year. We're going to make some money this year. So here we're gonna have some back and forth here between One Pride and Slasher. This is awesome. Just remember, guys, we're gonna be respectful. Always can disagree. As long as you're respectful, you can always insult me though. So just let you know. You couldn't win. You had top generational talent. He says, what does that have to do with 2021? Slasher, Lions can win 9 games. Wow. Slasher, I have no idea if you're into sports betting, but if you think the Lions are going to win 9, the over-under is 4.5. And, of course, Mike has the under. Yeah, I'll keep you updated. I love your channel. You're definitely thank you, brother. I really appreciate it. And here's the thing. I don't know all the intricacies. I'm trying to say a big word. So, by the way, I don't know all the intricacies of all 32 teams. That's why I put this channel together, is because I want people to join and say, hey, Dan, before you're so high on, let's just say, Giants, wait, don't forget, look at this. Hey, Dan, I know you're really high on the Kansas City Chiefs, but, look at this thing. Or, there's a lot of different things that I want to know about. Like, I could sit here and I could talk to you about some things with the Kansas City Chiefs, but, yeah. That I would get kind of old pretty fast. The Chiefs are doing some really creative things in training camp, though. It's because we ran our superstars to death, not playing as a team. And I agree with you, Slasher. And by the way, we beat you with Detroit. That's right. Detroit did win in Philly last year. Oh God. Oh man. Detroit is a terrible franchise. Denver Gator, what is up, brother? Just checking in with my boys. What's up? By the way, Denver Gator, for the first time ever, you can actually watch me live on Twitter. Denver Gator and I communicate through Twitter. So this is the very first time I've ever been available live on Twitter. So again, I am broadcasting live on Facebook, Twitter, and of course on YouTube. So the very first time I'm having a threesome with social media. So yeah, Denver Gator, great to see you in the chat, brother. Patricia, oh God. Oh, wow. Slasher, the Lions won't win 9 in 2 years. Oh, my God. One Pride 40 so what did your Dolphins do this offseason? Well, the Howard trade's interesting. Off the top of my head, I'm drawing a blank. I know Jalen Randall, the other receiver from Alabama. We talked about Devontae Smith. Let's bring it up here because I'm drawing a blank on the other guy that they got. So you get Waddle, and then who was the other guy they drafted in the first round that I really, really liked? I am drawing a complete blank on their name. All right. Having a bad time remembering names today, but one thing I do like about the Dolphins is that they're building their team with a ton of draft picks. Okay, they Jalen Phillips. Okay, they rolled the dice with draft picks. That's right. So what they did is they're building their team through the draft, and they went ahead and just kind of cut ties with everybody that was worth anything. They got rid of their left tackle. They got rid of Minkah Fitzpatrick, not Ryan Fitzpatrick, and they got a bunch of draft picks. And they this year they went kind of crazy because Jalen Phillips. There's a lot of red flags on Jalen Phillips. Jalen Waddle, explosive, but didn't stay healthy in college. So is he going to stay healthy in the pros? It's going to be interesting because they rolled the dice. If it pays off, they could be really, really good. If it doesn't, they're going to look really bad because here's a team that had 10 wins. And normally the strategy in the draft is you want to hit doubles. You want to have some consistency. Dolphins didn't do that. They just kind of rolled the dice. They said, okay, Jalen Waddle, explosive when healthy, so we'll roll the dice. Jalen Phillips, best defensive end in the draft, but there was some concussion issues, and he quit at UCLA, came back. So, yeah, there's some big – Dolphins rolled the dice. If Phillips and Waddle pan out, they could not only they could not only pan out as in being competitive in the AFC East, they could be a team beating the AFC. I really believe that. If those two pan out being a Pro Bowl caliber receiver and defensive end. I'm definitely going in on 7.5. I like how they're built up their line. They should be something to watch for them. 7.5. You're talking. Okay, I'm sorry. I kind of went on a rant. You're talking about the Giants. I'm assuming you're talking about the Giants, but yeah. O-line, Sewell might be another Quentin Nelson. Okay. Since you're talking about that, what team are you talking about 7.5? Are you talking about the Giants? And Sewell, okay, they're planning on using Sewell at right tackle. I was thinking the same thing you were thinking, and Sewell might be a Quentin Nelson type player at guard. I was actually thinking he might be exceptional at guard, but he's going to move to the outside. So, yeah. But 7.5, which team are you talking about? Mike, I have to agree, but maybe it's a new day. a little trash talk. I love it. One Pride 40, I feel like I tick off a lot of fan bases in the comment section. I remember I pissed a bunch of Bengals fans off. Dude, hey, you're welcome here anytime you want to, One Pride 40. You know that. You know you've been a regular. You're fantastic. You tick off as many fan bases as you want. You've always been respectful. So, okay. Lions I take for 7. Okay. It's 4.5. It's 4.5. So if you think if you're taking the Lions 7.5, you definitely love the Lions at 4.5. Yeah, that's okay. Yeah. All right, man. I'm not trash talking you. If you do bet on the Lions, please let me know. If you can, send a bet slip. If you don't want to put it public, you can email me, of course. You can always email me. But let me know if you do bet on the Lions. I definitely want to know that. Kadarius Toney. Yeah, the Giants drafted him. They traded down from 11 to 20. Or was that right? Yeah, they traded with Chicago. I think it was 20. I may have the numbers mixed up, but they traded with Chicago, so they had the Bears pick, the Bears first round pick for next year, and they got Kadarius. I think it was Kadarius Toney. If you didn't, I really like this kid coming out of Florida. He's not the speed. He looked like he was a speed demon. He's not going to be a speed demon in pros. Great change of direction. Great with the ball in his hand. Kind of reminds me of the other Florida player. He's in Minnesota for a long time. Drawing a blank. Anyway, I actually really like this kid. He's definitely going to help the Giants. He's going to be a punt kick returner. So it's going to be an upgrade. It's up to Tua for the Fins, and Tony's kind of meh to me. Here's the deal. He doesn't have to be a number one. Where Devontae Smith in Philly, him and Rager got to be 1 and 2. Tony is just somebody who's going to help on special teams. He can be used on end arounds. You haven't touched the ball maybe 5-10 times a game. He's not the main guy. I mean, you're going to have Galladay being the number one receiver. You got a Pro Bowl tight end in Evan Ingram. You still got Sterling Shepard. Of course, the offense is going to revolve around Barkley. So even if Tony is kind of meh, it doesn't matter. We're in Philly. If Devontae Smith is meh, that's going to be the whole team's just going to fall apart. Denver Gators, since I'm a VIP only fan, so I get to watch the Twitter stream for free. By the way, Broncos camp so far is fire. QB competition is looking good. Locke is matured this all season, got an edge to him. Yes, you get to watch the Twitter stream for free. My OnlyFans page should be in the link below. If not, let me know. Denver Gator is a VIP to my OnlyFans. And that's one thing that's really stood out. And somebody on social media, I should have tagged you in the comment. I apologize. I think it was a Denver sports writer who pointed this out, is that every time Locke does something, there's a lot of applause, but Bridgewater does the same thing. Nobody says anything. Apparently, from what I've heard, Bridgewater looks really good, and that this quarterback competition looks good. I don't like quarterback competitions. I really think that they should go into the camp and say, okay, it's going to be Bridgewater's team or Locke's team. We're going to build the offense around what they do, good or bad. And then build the offense around them. Instead, they're not doing that, which I don't like. But from what I've heard, and please let me know, keep me informed, because I should have tagged you in this. How does Bridgewater look? I heard he looks really good, but nobody wants to talk about it. So, okay, we got that. By the way, let me know, please, if you put action on over 4.5, let me know, because that's what it is at Westgate Casino. I don't know what part of the country you're in, so I have no idea where you're going to put action at. So, Dan, do I think X get traded? Yes, I do. And I cannot pronounce the guy's name that they drafted last year. It's Noah Igbinoghene, the kid out of Auburn, a guy that I really liked, by the way. So it's just really a matter of time. I think it's going to happen soon. I'm not really sure where. But I mean, you could go to a variety of different teams. I mean, there's a lot of teams could really use a cover corner of Howard's caliber. I have no idea where you'd go, But yeah, I think it's going to happen very soon, Mike. I actually think it's going to happen next week. The next show, when we come on, we'll actually end up talking about this. I haven't heard back from Alex, but he wants to come on and talk the AFC East. So yeah, because I still think the Bengals O-line is bad, and that's a big question mark. That's a big question mark. But it did improve. It improved quite a bit. So that's one thing. A lot of people don't realize that the Bengals made several moves to improve the offensive line just because they didn't use the 5th overall pick to improve their offensive line. A lot of people feel like it didn't get better. It actually did. Actually really did. So I like his quickness and his hands. They're saying he had some personality issues, something about he wanted to quit football for rapping. Thank God he didn't, though. He's good. And this is about Cardavious Toney. Yeah, he's more quick than actual fast. I think he ran like a 4.55, but watch his moves and watch him with the ball in his hand. He's just very, very explosive. What I like most about him going to the Giants is he doesn't have to be the 1 or 2 guy. He just has to contribute. He like I said, he'll return punts or return kicks. They'll use him on the end around. They'll throw him a few passes. Where Devontae Smith needs to be the guy. I mean, he needs to be the guy right away. And that's something that I don't know if he can. I really don't know if he can. If Waddle's foot doesn't fall off and Phillips' bell doesn't get rattled, they could absolutely, Funk. I couldn't have said it any better myself. The only thing is, though, when you're a team that wins 10 games and you don't go to the playoffs and you have the 6th and the 18th picks in the draft, you want at least one of those guys to be a guy who you can, hang your hat on and say, hey, this guy's going to make our team better. Instead, they drafted 2 players that you have really no idea if they're even going to play. I like the fact that they rolled the dice and got premium talent, but I would have liked a little more certainty with one of those picks. I would have liked it if they said, okay, this guy definitely is going to contribute. If they hit on both of these guys, this could be a Super Bowl team. I'm not exaggerating either, because you have a 10-win team. Tua's going to be better. The offensive line is going to be better. The defense is really good. The one thing they didn't have is a premier pass rusher, and that's what they get with Phillips. The offense doesn't have an explosive playmaker. Well, you get maybe the best playmaker in, if you want to say Chase, sure, but last year was Waddle. Of course, Chase didn't play. Of course, if Chase was available at 6, that's the pick. Or Pitts, either one of those guys. Then they're Dolphins. So they're rolling the dice. They're taking chances. If both of them hit, maybe a Super Bowl. It's that good. It's that good. But when you're a 10-win team, you fails to make the playoffs, and your next step's the playoffs. You like to have a little more certainty in your draft. There could have been a couple guys besides Phillips that they could have drafted instead. You're playing in a 3-4 defense. He's really a 4-3 guy. I mean, you could have gone with Asamoah or Osumi, the kid out of Texas, the Bengals took in the 3rd round. I thought he was going to be a 1st-round pick. Joseph Asai, I'm sorry. And then Ojulari, who the Giants took in the 2nd round. You could have drafted either one of those guys at 18 instead, which would have been a better fit in a 3-4 defense, more natural pass rushers. Instead, you're doing something a little creative. So yeah. Funk, you happy they passed on Sewell? I can almost guarantee Funk's happy, because I know Funk's really happy with Sewell. And I like K-Tony. I do too. I like the fact that he's going to the Giants and he doesn't have to be the guy. He doesn't have to be wide receiver number 2. He's just a part of the cog. A lot of things I like about the Giants if you watch my video. Percy Harvin, yes, that was the guy's name. Yes, another Gator. Thank you, Denver Gator, for If Smith is he could be. The last wide receiver to win the Heisman Trophy was Desmond Howard. Now, he did win Super Bowl MVP, but for the most part, most people would consider him a bust. I mean, yeah, he won Super Bowl MVP, which was really awesome, and he was public saying he should just stayed in Green Bay. But yeah, I mean, Desmond Howard was. I mean, okay, Desmond Howard's career with the Washington football team, he was the 4th overall pick. That's the definition of bust. And that's what I worry about DeVonta Smith, because I think they play Atlanta. I'm almost positive it's Atlanta, right? Am I correct? They play Atlanta week 1. I'm gonna look it up real quick. I'm pretty sure it's Atlanta week 1. Okay. Yeah, okay, it's at Atlanta. All right, AJ Terrell, he was a rookie last year, second-year player. Played against him in the national championship game, if I remember right, Clemson against Alabama. If I'm AJ Terrell, I line up like this. I'm right in his face. I'm so bad. I'm putting my hands all over him week 1. And that's going to be an interesting. So many great games week 1, by the way. So many great games. I'm so excited for football. So excited. Football's right around the corner. We're getting preseason football soon. He would be the first Heisman wideout draft bust. No, Desmond Howard. Again, if you want to tell me Desmond Howard's not a bust, I would hear that, but I would consider Desmond Howard a bust because he was the 4th player chosen overall. He went to the Washington football team, a team that just got off winning a Super Bowl, and I mean that 91 Washington team was really good. That was really good. He went to a good place with a good coach, Joe Gibbs. You could argue one of the more underrated coaches. And it just didn't work, man. It didn't work. I love Desmond Howard too. I love Desmond Howard. I don't like that either. He didn't have great hands, but the one thing I do like about him going to the Giants is Barkley's option 1, of course. You got Galladay's wide receiver number 1. You got Evan Ingram's Pro Bowl tight end. You got Sterling Shepard. He just has to help. He doesn't have to be a big contributor. And Slasher is in Philly, which is awesome. I had no idea. That's awesome. I'm glad I got an Eagles fan here, man. I'm not disrespecting your team. I have a lot of question marks about the Eagles. But I have to admit, I love Jalen Hurts. Jalen Reagor, I loved coming out of TCU. I like the pick. Didn't stay healthy last year, but if healthy, he's got all the tools to be a number 1 wide receiver. You got to hit on DeVonta Smith. Remember, you traded up. You traded up with Dallas of all teams. So, yeah. I knew Funk was super happy since he in Miami went the other way, and he's glad that Sewell is in Detroit. I'm going to put it in at Parks. I'll send it. Okay. All right. Dude, that's awesome. Amon-Ra is going to be a problem for the Lions. After every practice, he is catching 202 passes. Dude, Amon-Ra, St. Brown, if you guys don't know, Detroit picked him up in the 4th round out of USC. I thought he was going to go in the 2nd round. I really, really like this guy, and apparently he's done everything right. He's doing everything right. He came announcing that he's going to take somebody's job. The Lions receiving core is not good. That's not an insult. It's just not good. And it looks like he is going to this guy may start. When I say start, he'd be wide receiver number 3. But yeah, he's doing everything right. He's not a number 1 NFL wide receiver. I really don't think so. I think he's a wide receiver number 2. But keep in mind, Dorsey's the same guy orchestrated the OBJ trade in Cleveland. So if another wide receiver, a big name wide receiver, ends up in Detroit, I wouldn't be surprised at all. I watched enough of Tony that I started to dislike, wow, I pulled a Dan and forgot the statue that was Trask. But yeah, he also had Pitts. Yeah. Here's the thing about Tony is that he was so much fun to watch that the one thing I do like about him going to the Giants is he doesn't have to be the 1 or the 2 guy, where DeVonta Smith has to be the number 2 guy. Well, Keep in mind, if Zach Ertz stays there, you also have Goddard, so you have really good connection of tight ends. If Ertz is asked for a trade, but doesn't look like he's going anywhere, Ray Gore, who's going to pan out. But you need more from Devontae Smith than you do with Tony. With Tony, he touches the ball 5 times a game, that you're fine. If Smith gets 5 targets a game, then there's a problem. So, yeah. Trask, yeah. It's a little harder than it sounds. So, yeah. Steady Teddy and Horse. It's about okay. I'm kind of glad you told me this, because when this first happened, I just assumed Locke was going to be the guy. I just assumed, and then I started hearing about, well, they really like Bridgewater. Patton, who's now the new general manager in Denver, he was a big proponent for Bridgewater. Remember, the Vikings traded up to get Bridgewater in the first round, those 32 pick overall. And there was a lot of people in the Vikings organization, who Patton included, who's now the general manager in Detroit, that really wanted Bridgewater in the first round. So you got a second round pick in Locke. So, yeah. But nobody's talking about this, but apparently Bridgewater looks really, really good in Denver's training camp. I think it would be a mistake. I think you go with Locke, but me and Locke did go to the same high school, so I'm possibly a little biased. Some Finn fans suggesting trading X to Detroit to punish. I'm not gonna lie. I wouldn't surprise me if he ends up in Detroit, because you got Okudah, who's the 3rd pick overall. You never really found a replacement for Darius Slay. Okudah is expected to have a huge jump up. But don't forget Aaron Glenn, your defensive coordinator, is former NFL defensive back. I would really like it if he brought in a big time corner like Howard, and that would be a good move for the Detroit Lions. Here's the thing. Detroit, don't forget, has 2 number 1s this year and next year. But the one thing you don't need if you're the Miami Dolphins is draft picks. So if you trade them to Detroit, you want to get something tangible. I think you want to get something tangible back in return. You really don't want draft picks. Another thing about Detroit is that I really think that they're stockpiling picks in case Jared Goff isn't the guy. So I would like to see it, but I think they would want a player in return. And who do the Lions have that Miami would really want? The only player I could think of off the top of my head, which kind of makes sense, would be DeAndre Swift. But then what do you do if you're the Lions? Because I think the Lions are really going to revolve around DeAndre Swift this year. And the Amon-Ra route running is absolutely disgusting. That's a good thing. In all honesty, I love Smith, but when you watch his tape, he looks absolutely explosive. He already went up against more of rookie cornerbacks in the league from last year. But I call this the NFL 20, and there's a lot of games. There's a lot of players. Usually I refer to this to like linebackers, linemen, sometimes running backs like Christian McCaffrey. He put on the NFL 20. Of course, he put on the NFL 25. But yeah, he does need to hit an NFL weight room. Matter of fact, I talked about it in LA. This is like the 9th name freeze. I forgot. Leonard Floyd. Leonard Floyd, when he joined the Bears, he had to put on the NFL 20 because he was about 230, 240 coming out of Georgia when they wanted him to play outside linebacker. And he really struggled putting on the weight. And then he kind of struggled. Then he went to the Rams, had a great season, but it took him a while to become great because he had to put on some weight. This could be a situation where week 1, he doesn't, or I'm sorry, year 1, he really struggles. He may come in. He doesn't need to be 190. I mean, nobody's saying he's got to be like that, but he does need to put on some weight. A player who put on 20 pounds and dominated very quietly is Keenan Allen for the Chargers. I mean, I love this guy, but he's a guy who put on the NFL 20. He was like 6'3", 205, 210. He looks like he's about 220 playing for the Chargers, and his game is phenomenal. This is a guy in Smith. I think really needs to come into next year's training camp at 180. Probably will play at like 175. This is never going to be a big dude. This is never going to be a big dude, but he does. You're 100% correct. He does need to put on some weight. 6 weeks to the games count, man. I'm very, very excited. No, yeah, I love the criticism. I'm not a guy to cry. If somebody says my team is trash, I know we have a lot. Marks, but we also do win a Super Bowl ring with Doug Peterson. Yeah, absolutely. This is a channel where I just want to talk all 32 teams. I want to have interaction with 32 different fan bases. I do a lot of sports betting. I'm going to make some money betting on sports this year. I want to have everybody who does bet on sports that follows my channel make some money this year. I know Mike's going to make some money. Jimmy Stoneful, who's not in this chat, but Slasher, since you're relatively new, and I haven't put this anywhere yet, but when the season starts, I'll have a live stream on Wednesday and I'll have a live stream on Friday. The Wednesday before the start of the season, I'll go, or before the start of the NFL season, I'm going to go live on Wednesday and Friday. So I have you get two different shows of me. And usually what I do is kind of recap on Wednesday and then, kind of look forward to Thursday night. And then Friday, the same show, that we currently have now. But yeah, I'm just jacked up about football season starting. You get my honest opinion, but also try to be respectful to all 32 fan bases. The one thing is that you missed that Alex, he was in earlier, Houston Texans, loves trashing Dallas Cowboys. I have a feeling you two are going to have that in common. And once football season starts, you'll hear a lot of them. And I got a feeling that you guys can have some fun trashing the Dallas Cowboys. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. I don't have any Cowboys fans, but that's somebody that if Cowboys fan gets trashed on, I'm not really going to cry a lot of tears. Dorsey pounded the table for him. Yeah, Dorsey, he's talking about Amon-Ra St. Brown. And yeah, and there's a lot to like about this kid. But if you're entering the season and you're saying this is my number one wide receiver, a 4th round pick, it's going to be an issue. That's not a good thing. You're excited to see this. And by the way, if you don't think Dorsey's first draft in Kansas City, 3rd round pick, a really good wide receiver called Travis Kelce. I know he plays tight end, but he's really a big wide receiver. Matter of fact, didn't even play his rookie year. Like I think he tore his ACL in mini camp or something. Missed all of 2013. Not bad pickup. Not bad pickup. Tyreek Hill, 5th round pick by John Dorsey, by the way. So yeah, reminds me of Hines Ward. Yeah. And that's not. By the way, I watched Hines Ward in the Peach Bowl throw for 403. I'll never forget that. Pretty good wide receiver. But also Devontae Smith has dropped 100 yards on first-round corners this year. He played in division with J.C. Horn, Shaun Wade, Eric Stokes. No, listen, I 100% get that. But at Alabama, he didn't face a lot of press, man, because you had an NFL team playing college teams. So I get where you're coming from, but I don't see that as being viable because you weren't playing press man on equal terms. At Alabama, you're playing against NFL competition, but Alabama's an NFL team. All right. And J.C. Horn, Shaun Wade, Eric Stokes, they weren't playing press man aggressively against Devontae Smith. They're playing college style, defenses. So it's kind of night and day. I do get where you're coming from. And Devontae Smith had maybe the best college football season of any wide receiver all time. I mean, college football has been over 100 years old. And you could say Devontae Smith had the greatest season of all time. Do not diminish that accomplishment. And I do think he'll have more success than Desmond Howard. However, can he come into Philly and be the number 1 or number 2 guy? And you still need Reagor to be capable of a first-round pick. Don't get me wrong. If Devontae Smith and Reagor end up playing as they're capable, and Reagor's got a world of talent, I think that's very underrated. I love this kid up TCU. I thought it was going to work out perfect. He had bit the injury bug. Dallas Goedert, a lot of talent. I mean, your offensive line, let's say the offensive line's fixed. Yeah, there's some things that could be good, but the one thing about Philly, that if I'm a Philly fan like you are, I'm saying if a lot. If this works, if this works, if this works. I'm saying if a lot. But yeah, I'm not saying he's going to be bad. I'm just 166. I would like him better if he was 5'10 or 5'11, 166. But when you're that tall, you're going to get press man. You're going to get a lot of press man. And how is he going to handle that? But we'll dominate tackles in guards. We want no parts of Howard. Slasher, only good one is born. Okay. All right. Oh, maybe I'll figure it out. Horn. Okay. J.C. Horn. Shaun Wade, I know Shaun Wade got 8 up in that national championship game. I think he went to Baltimore in round 5. He actually could be a pretty good player. I wouldn't have minded him coming here in Kansas City. But we'll dominate. We want no parts of Howard. I'm drawing a blank here. Mike, the Lions are having fun. It wouldn't be as much of a punishment as you think. And he's talking about the Howard. Okay, I'm sorry. When the One Pride 40, you do want Howard. Trust me. Howard would come into Detroit. He'd be your best defensive player day one. He arrives in Detroit. He's your best defensive player. So yeah. Okay, I get it. I get rid of our picks, and we already have enough corners. We need a safety. You could use some help in the secondary. That was one thing that you didn't address in the draft. But the thing is, with you bring in Howard, that immediately he immediately comes your best defensive player. But I think that if you do, you're also announcing, hey, we're going to play a lot of man. I know they played a little man in New Orleans, but it wasn't that they didn't. Lattimore followed the number one receiver all over the field. You would do that with Howard, and then you're trying to get Okudah up to speed to try to be the number one guy. That would be ideal because you need Howard to take him. I'm sorry, not Howard. You need Okudah to really, really take a step up this year. He has got, when you're number 3 player overall, you got to be better than he was last year. Must be better. I'm glad Slasher's here, man. I'm glad we got you here, brother. Yeah, firing Peterson is weird. I hated when he benched. Yeah, that was a really bizarre situation. Very, very bizarre situation in Philly for sure. One Pride 40, Eric Stokes is good. Did you see his tape? Stokes is not bad. In all fairness. J.C. Horn, I probably had him as the number 2 guy. I definitely had him behind Surtain. And that was another thing, is that Surtain and Devontae Smith apparently had some great battles in camp, and Smith won some of those battles. So, and Guy in Miami put 500 in Green Bay to win the Super Bowl after Rodgers show. Do you know? No, I do not. But I know that the odds were off quite a bit on the over/under win total. I will say this: I don't think it's a good bet. But, at the same time, the NFC, I think okay, I think the NFC's Tampa Bay, and then everybody else just who knows. And then once you get in the playoffs, Kansas City got really banged up in the playoffs last year. Tampa Bay gets really banged up in the playoffs. You never know. I mean, you never know. So, especially with 17 games, it could take a toll on a team. But I don't know the odds. No, I don't. I'll find out though. And if I do get confirmation, Alex wants to come on, and we're going to talk a lot. He wanted to talk AFC East. He's a Patriots fan, so I know you're going to like that. So I did not impressed. Peterman hurts my. Oh my God. I'm thinking Tyrell Williams will be our number one. I actually like Tyrell Williams. He spent a lot of time with the Chargers. He's definitely not a number one, but he is a big, talented guy. This is kind of where I expect Dorsey to make some moves. It wouldn't surprise me if Dorsey's trying to make some moves in behind the scenes to try to get another receiver. Tyrell Williams, not a bad player. If he's your number one, you're in trouble though. But I really think between now and the start of the season, you're going to add some wide receivers in Detroit. I'm almost promising that you're going to do that. But if Tyrell Williams is your number one, you're in a lot of trouble. Yeah, but I did like him. I remember him in the Chargers. He was for a long time. He was actually Chargers number 3 guy. Athletic potential, but it didn't. He was very, very inconsistent. Very, very inconsistent. You never know. You never know, though. He may just flourish. The one thing he does have is athleticism and talent. I'm not sitting here telling you he's not a talented guy. Way too inconsistent. At least it was with the Chargers. The Raiders didn't. I mean, if he was really good, the Raiders wouldn't have drafted all those wide receivers and throw them away. So. If he's your number 2 guy, then I would be a little more. And I think when the season starts, I think you'll have somebody else be your number 1. Mike says I was teasing. X probably wouldn't love the weather. Yeah, that up in the north. But the one thing I will say is that it would make a lot of sense for Detroit. The only thing is though, if I'm Miami, I have plenty of draft picks. I would love that to see. I think Miami really wants a player. I think they want like a player in a later pick. And one thing, if I remember right, and let me just do this real fast here. I think the one really big kind of mark for Miami is I think they're really hurting in the running back position, if I remember right. And my computer's moving at the speed of slug. Nobody's else TV cracked Denver Gator. I agree with everything you said. You would see a lot pressed, maybe even every snap in the NFL, but isn't there a no contact rule? The rules are a little different. You can't the hand fighting that goes on is a lot different. I don't know all the specifics about the college rules. It is different though. And then Miami's running back, Myles Gaskin from last year, he's definitely not the guy. He picked up Malcolm Brown. So I could see them trying to get a running back and a draft pick for Xavier Howard. And don't get me wrong, if Swift went to Miami, that would be a great move for Miami. But then I would look at Detroit and like, okay, great. You got a Pro Bowl caliber corner. What are you going to do? Well, I wanted him to be a first round pick, but he's second round pick. I'm sorry, messed up that there was no rule against contact in college, but there is in the NFL. It's a little different. You're allowed some hand fighting in the NFL. You're not really in college, but bottom line, you're going to see teams play a lot more press. Press man coverage in college is very rare. However, it's very common in the NFL. That's why more and more receivers are being big. That's why you get tight ends like Travis Kelce, Darren Waller, Kyle Pitts. They're basically just big wide receivers because you don't want the corners to press. And that's something that he's going to have to use speed and agility. And then I think he will put on the NFL 20 next year. But we'll see what happens. No, you'll see more. You'll see more. A lot more. It doesn't take much to find a bona fide number 1 receiver. It takes a little more than what you're thinking. I think that it is a problem because right now I'm looking at Detroit. Tyrell Williams is a guy who doesn't even make an NFL roster for teams with good wide receiver core. All right. I mean, that's just the truth. The Raiders got rid of him. They just didn't care. All right. I mean, he was a cast off for both the Chargers and the Raiders. Two teams that, I mean, keep in mind the Chargers have Keenan Allen, so they have, a superstar at wide receiver. even though most of the NFL doesn't know about it. But the Raiders had a bunch of draft picks, and then they also signed Nelson Aguilar when they had Tyrell Williams, and they just said, "Nah, you're not working." If it doesn't take much, then they would have already done it. They're not going into the season with Tyrell Williams, so it does take a little more. You're at to get creative, but that's something Dorsey can do. Yeah, that they're not after me, I promise. But yeah, you do need to improve your wide receiver core, and I think that you do. I think you will before the start of the season. I don't think they're going to go into the season with the receiving core they have. They're going to add something. Slasher getting jammed in the line in the NFL seriously different. Yeah, Funk. I should have said that. It's different because these guys practice technique insanely. The one thing I'll say that's a big plus is that he went against some press man in college, but in practice more than in the games. So yeah, you definitely will. It's definitely a night and day type of thing. So yeah. One Pride 40, the whole thing for Sudfeld coming in with Peterson was taking for Chase, but this before the Bengals came out and said they were interested in Chase, we would have never traded down. Okay. All right, let me address this. What it was that the last game of the season, in case you don't know, Doug Peterson made a switch at quarterback. With a lot of people said that it was due to Peterson wanting to try to tank because he wanted to get Jamal Chase. I don't believe that's true. I think that Peterson wanted to give him a chance because he did a good job. And I believe Peterson when he said that. The reason why I believe him is because he got fired. All right. If it was a legitimate tank job, it wouldn't have been Peterson because even though he was the coach, he wasn't general manager. He's not the owner. And he ended up getting fired. I 100% believe that NFL teams don't tank, but a lot of people said that there was an attempt to tank because he wanted the number one wide receiver. The thing is, though, is that when they drafted Jalen Reagor, they were under the impression that he would turn into a number one wide receiver. I will say this. I love Reagor coming out TCU, but the one thing, and you have to answer this for me, the times that he did play, which wasn't often, he had really bad body language. Like teammates were going nuts around him. He kind of like didn't engage with other guys. It just seemed like he had a bad attitude. Like he just was in grout. He just didn't seem to get along with his other players. I'm wondering if you saw the same thing. I'm just speculating, but I think One Pride 40 is right. I don't think teams played. You got a point, but I'm saying he actually gets past 5 yards because the DBs can't be as physical. Getting off the line of scrimmage is huge because it's so much more timing than it is in college. I mean, the one thing about college and the NFL is that it's a completely different game. High school and college, it's the same game. All right. It's just players are bigger, stronger, faster. Instead of an 8,000 person stadium, it's 80,000. Of course, some colleges are small. The NFL and college, it's a completely different game. And I'm pulling for Devontae Smith. I am definitely pulling for him. He was so much fun to watch. How he's going to adapt to playing press man is going to be a challenge. And you're going to see it right away. I think he'll get AJ Terrell week 1. A guy he played against in college. We'll have to see how that works out. That's going to be fun. That's going to be a fun matchup. AJ Terrell, by the way. Never mind. I was going to say he's from Georgia, but never mind. I guess it doesn't matter. But, yeah. Hawk will probably be number one target, then Williams, then St. Brown, then halfback. To tell you the truth, it wouldn't surprise me if Swift leads the team in receptions. If he stays healthy, it wouldn't surprise me he leads the team in receptions. But when I say number one target, I meant I misspoke. The number one wide receiver. You want a guy who's the wide receiver number one. You want a guy to say, I'm a number one wide receiver. Lions don't have that. Currently, their number one target, I think, will be DeAndre Swift. Then I think it'll be Hawkinson. Then they'll go to the wide receivers. but they don't have a legitimate number one wide receiver, and they need to get one. And it wouldn't surprise me if between now and the start of the season that the Lions make a move to get somebody. It doesn't surprise me at all. Yeah, but he has to get past that Chuck zone for, yeah. The Philadelphia, that's one thing about the Eagles, and that's the one thing about them that it's hard to bet against them because they had a record-setting amount of injuries, especially in the offensive line. Now you get a healthy offensive line. Two guys that deserve to be first-round picks at receivers, two good corners, and Miles Sanders is a very, very good running back. So, yeah, I mean, the Eagles are a tough team. If you watch my last video where I talked about the Giants, I made several bets on New York Giants. I'm not doing that on Philly. There's a lot of question marks. So yeah. Your cap Raiders giving a contract for him to be a toss away. Are you talking about for Williams? Both teams threw him away right after an injury, right? I don't know if it was an injury. I just know that when the Raiders got him, it didn't work out. And they also drafted a couple receivers. I know it didn't pan out for him with the Chargers. He was just way too inconsistent. Talented, just inconsistent. Gruden is a former wide receivers coach. So Gruden just giving up on a talented wide receiver, that's saying a lot. That's why I'm not really looking at Terrell Williams as a chance to be a legitimate number one in the NFL. Mon-Ra will be a top 5 receiver in this year's class. This is a burning hot take. Let's see. Well, okay. Let's call it. I personally consider Kyle Pitts a wide receiver, but let's just no. Let's call him a tight end, even though he's really a wide receiver. Okay, so we'll get rid of him. All right. Chase, it'll be very interesting to see what he does, but Chase is probably going to be number 1. Waddle, if he stays healthy, it's going to be fun to watch him in Miami with Tua. Now I got his name right, so that'll be fun. All right, Kadarius Toney. Could he put up more stats than Kadarius Toney? Sure. All right, so you got a good point there. Okay, Devontae Smith. Devontae Smith will probably have to put up more numbers, or else it'll be tremendous bust. Drawing a blank on the Minnesota kid in Baltimore. Drawing a blank on his name. The first round pick the Ravens made. That will be interesting. Can he be as productive as that kid? I don't know, but he's got a better passer. I'm not calling Goff a better quarterback than Lamar Jackson, but it's safe to say Goff's a better passer. So you got that guy. Some second round picks at wide receiver. There was one guy in particular. There'll be, you know what? Put a pin on that if you can. Put a pin on that, and we'll kind of revisit it during the season because I know you're going to be around. So I'm going to hold you to this. All right. Excuse me, Mike. Just looked up Green Bay's 14. Wow. I actually, to tell you the truth, I didn't think it was that much of a long shot. So a $500 bet will win. Let me see if I'm doing my math right. It'd be $7,000. Yeah. To be honest, I thought the odds were that number is going to drop. That number is going to drop. 14-1's a lot higher than I was expecting. Wow. He was slow, to be honest. Rager really can't handle social media too well either. I'm sure after getting injured and hearing all the time this guy. Yeah, okay. I'm glad you saw the same thing. He seemed to have a really bad attitude. The times I did see him play, he didn't seem to interact well with his teammates. And that was another thing is that I didn't know about this, but everybody kept on saying he's a little dude. He's not a little dude. He was 5'11", 210. That's not little. All right. This is a big dude. And he ran a 4.35 at 210. I mean, this is a fast dude. There's a lot of things to like about Rager, but I didn't know he didn't handle social media well. But the few times I watched him interact, he just seemed like he had a bad attitude. Just didn't seem like he really integrated well with his teammates. So it may just be some guys can handle the camaraderie and the NFL lifestyle. Some can't. So Funk, why did Raiders chuck all that cash at him then? I don't know how much cash they paid him, but it's John Gruden's a guy. Terrell Williams looked like a great fit for the Raiders. It really looked like it'd be a good fit, and it didn't work out. And to me, that's a red flag. But I like the fact that he's in Detroit, but I'm also looking at him as saying, hey, look, this is a guy could be a number 2, number 3 guy. If he comes in, if you start the season, Terrell Williams is your number 1 wide receiver, you're in a lot of trouble, at least in that position. One Pride 40, we are going to wrap this up because I'm going on almost 2 hours. I'm on 150. My inaugural video going live on both Facebook and Twitter I think it's been a success because I had a lot of fun doing it. So don't forget, before you do leave, give me a thumbs up. Also put a comment below if you have any video ideas or you want to actually come on. Hopefully by the time I take a look at my phone here, Alex will give me confirmation that he'll be on next week to talk about the AFC East. I'm very excited about that because I had a lot of fun talking with interviewing Red Sea. I want to look Jefferson play better defenses, so I'm not. All right, so let me try this again. I want to see Jefferson play better defenses, though. I'm still not sold on him 100%. I feel like Thielen took a lot of pressure off of him. Not just Thielen, but Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook was what made that whole offense go. When he's healthy, he's an MVP candidate. And Thielen did take a lot of pressure off of him. That's kind of why I like Tony with the Giants, is because you have Saquon Barkley, you have Galladay, you have Evan Ingram, you have Sterling Shepard. In Philly, don't get me wrong, you got Rager on one side, but they didn't trade up in the first round to take Devontae Smith and say, hey, you're a number 2 guy. When you make that type of a move in the first round, even if you're the number 2 guy, it's because Rager has to have lights out numbers, or you want Ertz to have 100 catches again. So, I mean, he's got to have more production than Tony. So, yeah, I think it was too, man. Slasher puts in, it's a good one. So, okay, we're going to wrap up the show. Don't forget, on the way out, give me a thumbs up if you haven't already, and I will see you guys again Friday.